it's Brian.
Jason.
And this is the perfectly screwed mellow tones of the podcast coming to you from Marion, Indiana.
Very soothing environment here today.
Yeah. We had a big storm here in the Midwest. I don't know if anybody knows about it, but we had a huge storm that came through Marion. And it basically knocked out the power from yesterday at noon, and it's still out, and they might get it restored sometime tonight if we're lucky. So now me and Jason are recording in candlelight.
Yeah, so
if we had some wine, it'd be perfect.
Just to set the stage, we are in Brian's house, in the back of his house, a room isolated from the rest of his family. Yeah, it is absolutely pitch black.
Yeah,
other than 3 candles, the computer screen, and some cigarettes.
Yeah, that's what we got here. Some cigarettes, a computer screen, and like 3
It's
candles.
very relaxing. It's very soothing. And if at any time during this podcast I feel Brian's hand moving slowly up my leg, there might be a fucking problem.
If you feel something moving slowly up your leg in this darkened room, it's not my hand. And there's definitely a problem. Okay? You want to get as far away from whatever's moving up your leg as you can. Because it is not my hand, and Lord only knows what might be crawling up your leg at that moment.
We wouldn't be able to see it, so yeah.
Well,
anyone's guess.
If Jason gets bit by a brown recluse while we're sitting here and he passes out, I'll just continue with the podcast.
Right, even though we know that, you guys don't really enjoy Brian by himself.
No. we got some bad reviews on that. Well, again, the one I did by myself, the first one I did by myself, I didn't get bad reviews on, but the last one I did, and it was, first of all, it was unpreparedness.
Well, that's what I was.
And the second part was, I was, as I said again, drinking, and I continued to drink, and as I continued to drink, the more the podcast got bad. So it just went straight downhill.
Yeah, it would
really
be
hard
hard by yourself. Actually, I would. Yeah.
The first one I did by myself was fine.
You have to approach it completely different. Like you said, you have to be prepared.
Well, the first one I did by myself, I was prepared. I knew what I was doing. I wrote down, stuff, and I was ready to go, and I was sober. So all of those combined helped the situation. The second one was a whole fest of Yeah, where are we going on the next road, Eric?
So I think today, though, I feel like this is like your podcast Super Bowl. You've been talking about this one for a long time.
I have actually, and I'm kind of prepared for it, to be honest. Sort of. No, I have been talking about this one for a long time because he's he's very interesting in a lot of ways who we're going to talk about. And mainly because he does, but he doesn't fit profiles. And this is one of our rare true crime podcasts that we're doing today. I know you guys like those. You guys have said repeatedly that on some of my messages on Facebook that you like the true crime we do. You guys especially like Bundy. I think Bundy was one of our highest rated downloads we ever got was Bundy. So, since there's a lot of you out there that like the true crime, me and Jason try to give you what you want, try to give you what you need.
We're people pleasers.
Yeah.
We like to serve others.
That's right. I was just serving my wife earlier today. As a matter of fact, she woke up and, gave her some of the service, and she appreciated it highly, I think. I don't know.
You're a good man, Brian.
I don't know. Yeah, I give. That's what I do. Yeah, it wasn't for me.
No,
it wasn't for me. Absolutely not. It was for her, all for her. Now, the place we're going to talk about today is right around King County in Washington State, near Seattle.
Okay.
And if you can picture this, we have a river that runs out of Seattle all the way down through basically Washington. And it runs through Kent and Auburn and right on the outskirts of, a little bit far from Tacoma, but it's all through King County. And King County, except for Seattle and the small towns of Kent and Auburn, Washington, King County's a lot of forests, a lot of rivers. It's very picturesque. I mean, picture it if you can, these big redwood trees in Washington, beautiful flowing river. And we're talking about the Green River. And the Green River flows all the way down through Washington. Very beautiful, a lot of hiking trails. There's a state park over there, which is...
I've never been to the Pacific Northwest, but yeah, I mean, that's how I picture it. A lush, dense
it is.
forest.
Yeah, it's
green,
lush, dense forest.
It's rainy, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So there, yeah.
Well, you also got the King County Mountains right there.
Right.
Which are right behind the national parks and stuff. So, you like, Pinnacle Peak is over there in King County, which is the overgrown mountain. It's a mountain covered in greenery and like shrubbery and forest.
That's a little off topic. I don't know if you know the answer to this. Mount St. Helens. This is in Washington, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that near, or is that a different part of Washington?
It's up a little further north.
Does the river run near it though?
No.
Okay.
No, it's up further north.
Gotcha.
But King County, right outside of Seattle and all that, is basically a lot of forest and just a couple little towns. Like, seriously, you got Seattle at the top of Green River, right? And then you've got, like, Kent and Auburn, which are, about, 200, 300 miles south. So between Seattle and Kent, you have basically nothing but forest. It's nothing but national parks. And then Kent and Auburn is about 100 miles apart. And that's Auburn south of Kent. So you're 300 miles from Seattle, Washington, when you're talking about Auburn, Washington. So in between all of that is nothing but these gigantic forests and mountains, and the Green River runs right through this. And of course, the person we're talking about when we talk about the Green River and Washington is probably the most notorious serial killer ever, and that, of course, is Gary Ridgway, which is the Green River killer. So, Ridgeway.
Yeah, this is a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly in a lot of senses. But Ridgeway is, by most accounts, now they only convicted him of 49. And then they found at least 40 more that they know for a fact that he killed. So that brings the total to at least 80. He said there were so many he couldn't keep track of them. Right. They think the total's more in the maybe 200-300s. They believe that Ridgway's one of the most prolific serial killers ever. He has the highest count, and not only that, he got away with it for so long. So many years. I mean, you're talking 60s, 70s, all the way into the 90s. I mean, he was in his middle 40s, late 50s when they caught his ass.
Just like I was saying earlier, I mean, this guy is the type of fucking psycho where, well, basically Washington's looking to try to pass a bill that would, where people you wouldn't give life without parole. You would not be sentenced to life without parole.
Well, I don't see why you should. I mean, you just killed 200 people. There's no reason to keep you in prison the rest of your life. That's just silly.
And because as they're talking about passing this bill, someone interviewed Gary Ridgway, and he literally told them, if he gets out, he's going to do this again.
Well, if you're doing something right, why not? I mean, if you're that good at it.
That's very true. Right.
I mean,
I don't want to stop things I'm good at. You know what I'm saying? This is why I masturbate on the regular.
Right. You got to keep your skills up.
Absolutely. And practice makes perfect. And you know the cliches.
Right. If you're a painter, why quit painting? If you're a sculptor.
It makes absolute perfect sense that Washington would want to let this guy back loose on the streets. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
There's too many sex workers and prostitutes in Washington.
They're trying to clean shit up, man. They can't do it all themselves.
Right. They got to keep the sex workers down.
Absolutely.
Right. You can't, I mean, you arrest them, they just go right back to hooking. The only cure is to allow somebody out of prison that kills your sex workers for you. That way you just eliminate the problem altogether. You don't have to arrest them. Don't have to take time and money. Plus, why? I mean, you know.
Let the animals wipe each other out.
Right, you know? Sure, why not?
Put Ridgeway back loose. Who gives a shit? He's kidding, anyway. He wouldn't really do it again. There's no way he's kidding.
Of course
he's
not.
He's just joking.
He's clearly
That's just Gary's lighthearted nature. That's his dark sense of humor.
Yeah, Gary's just
he's something like that.
There's nothing wrong with old Gary.
No, Gary.
No, old Gary's a good guy. I mean, sure, if you're alone with him and you happen to have a vagina, probably
200
not the
to
greatest
300
thing.
murders. That's fucking speculation. He was only convicted of 49.
Right.
He didn't even kill 50 people.
Right. I mean,
God, you ain't
80,
living.
80 maybe.
You ain't living unless you've killed at least 50. Get him back out there.
Plus, they know what he looks like now.
Give him some money in a car.
I mean, this is the thing. You know what the man looks like, though. Even if he is released, I mean, if you're dumb enough to get in the car with this motherfucker
True.
at this point,
True.
I mean, plus he's
Not
got to
only
be
that- not
well
only that,
into
but-
his 70s.
Well, not only that, but yeah, I feel like if someone like him were actually to be released, like, dude, there should be a fucking mob of people waiting on him as he comes out of the
there will
prison
be.
and just
Yeah.
beat the living fucking piss out of him.
Well, even if you did release him, what is he really going to do in his 70s?
Well, true.
I mean,
he's going to go find fucking somebody. He's going to murder him.
You can't murder somebody in a walker, motherfucker. Shit,
Well-
by this point, this motherfucker can bear. What's he going to do?
Well,
Kill old women in the old age
Some of
home?
these dudes are really fucking smart, bro. But who was the asshole that talked the bitch into letting him in the car?
Oh, Ed Kemper. Yeah,
I
we
mean, you
talked
know
about
what?
her.
They're fucking manipulative, and young girls are fucking stupid.
You know, the funny thing is that Gary Ridgeway, and that's what I was saying to begin with, is not smart. In fact, Gary Ridgeway is borderline retarded. Oh wait, you can't say retarded anymore. I'm sorry, that was PC wrong. He is special.
Oh, he's borderline special.
Yeah, he's very special.
Very special.
80 is all his IQ is.
Oh, really?
He had an 80 IQ, was held back in 3 or 4 times during school, barely graduated high school. And that's what, again, makes this guy so fascinating,
Right.
is because he isn't your normal serial killer. Like, you talk about Edmund Kemper, you talk about Ted Bundy, you talk about these guys. They were extremely intelligent, way past intelligent, genius level intelligence. So most serial killers
Ridgeway
are.
was literally fucking put on the earth to kill.
Ridgeway
That was
is
his
an anomaly.
That was like his specific talent. It was like his talent. You know
Well-
what I'm saying?
Well, it's funny because as unimpressive as he is intellectually, he got away with this for so many years because of the amazing things he did to fool the police.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So, yes, he's unintelligent, has a very, very low IQ, borderline special, as we said,
So, yeah.
and he still fooled the police for like a good 50 to 60 years.
He's unintelligent as we as society would deem it according to an IQ test, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, as far as getting away with murder, he's way fucking more intelligent than I am. I'm assuming I haven't murdered anyone, but I guarantee I get fucking caught.
Okay, so we're going to get right into this, and we're going to get into this with a little story. So I'll tell you this story. There was a young boy, kindergartner. He was about 5 years old, and he was out in the woods. He was dressed up in a cowboy outfit, you know, just playing with sticks in a wooded area near his home. And he was just playing out there, you know, playing cowboys and Indians, just doing his thing.
Using his imagination.
Yeah,
like a
using
child
his
does.
imagination. The next words out of the kindergartner's mouth was, "Why did you kill me?" It was a reasonable question, because there hadn't been any kind of altercation between the boys. They were just two neighborhood, and the first one, here we
Hey,
go.
everybody, if you haven't played the drinking game before, now would be the time to learn the rules. Brian, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. We have a little game here on Perfectly Screwed, as I've said many, many times, and I would like to tell you the rules. The rules are, every time I fuck up a word, which does, on the last episode, actually, it's only like twice, but some episodes, it's frequent. And it used to be a lot more frequent. I'm getting better, thank the Lord Jesus. But if I fuck up a word, if I stumble over my own damn tongue, if I can't get the word out, please do us a favor and take a shot of your favorite alcoholic beverage. We would like you to participate in this game as much as possible.
Yes, we would. Drink responsibly and don't drive.
That's true. If you're driving while listening to us, please feel free when you get home to take a shot.
Yeah, just tally up the words and then take that many shots.
Yeah, that's right.
But what? So, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The kindergarten kid, what did he say? Why did you kill me?
Why did you kill me? Now, they were just two neighborhood kids, didn't even really know each other. They had only met moments earlier. Now, the teenager asked the kindergartner, hey, since you're playing cowboys and Indians, you want to go build a fort out in the woods. Then, a few moments later, as the kindergartner walked away, the teenager stabbed his victim with a folding knife to the midsection, puncturing his liver. Blood flowed down the victim's side and into his little cowboy boots. The teenager said to the young kid, I always wanted to know what it felt like to kill someone, and walked away laughing. That perpetrator was Gary Ridgeway, and this was, as in all accounts, his first killing.
So he was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Killed a 5-year-old little boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When he was a teenager, he decided that it was a good idea to meet this little 5-year-old boy and just to stab him.
So, I don't know what your plan of the itinerary is on this, but what was his childhood like?
Well,
do you want to get into that first, or?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Ridgeway was born on February 18th, 1949. So as I said, he's quite old at this point. He was born in 49. I mean, you know.
Yeah,
so that's 70-something years old.
73. 72, 73.
Yeah, 73. So he was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is interesting because so was Bundy.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Both were born in Utah.
But neither were Mormon.
Neither were Mormon, no.
Okay.
No. He was the second of 3 boys that was born to his parents. His father was Thomas Newton Ridgeway and was a bus driver. His mother was Mary Rita Ridgeway, and she was a sales clerk at J.C. Penney's. The family moved to SeaTac, Washington, which is a little suburb outside of Seattle there, in 1960. And Ridgeway attended Chinook Junior High School and Thai High School. Ridgeway struggled very much academically. He was held back 2 grades in high school. But he was very socially well adapted. So socially well adapted that he was one of the most popular kids in his high school.
Really?
Yeah, see, this is the thing about Ridgeway. Even though he was very low intelligence, he was never suspected forever of doing any of this because the mask he put on was so convincing and so social butterfly-ish that no one could believe he would ever commit these crimes.
Yeah, I got that.
Now, he was a smallish kid, and his high school football coach described him to the paper as wispy hair and very nondescriptive. He had no juvenile criminal record, but there was signs, obviously, at an early age of his sociopathic tendencies. He committed arson. He wet the bed until he was age 13. He tortured animals. He notably killed a cat by trapping it in a freezer at age 7. So at age 7, he put a cat in the freezer, trapped it in there, and let the cat die.
Who was it? There was other killers, if not multiple killers, that killed animals when they were young, too.
Most of them, yeah.
Was Bundy? Yeah,
Bundy killed animals. Kemper killed animals. Dahmer, he killed animals. Eileen Warnos, she killed a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they all tortured and killed animals.
It's like they know they have a taste for it. It's like they have to practice or something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Now, Ridgeway was not the favorite child. In fact, his father didn't like him at all. That honor belonged to his brother, who was 1 year older than him, Gregory. Gregory was regarded as the most accomplished sibling. He ran for student office. and later majored in physics at a reputable college. Gary, by comparison, had a very low IQ in the low to mid 80s. And the thing about Gary is he never expressed any kind of sympathy or sorrow for any of the things he did unless you were talking about his intelligence. He was very, very sensitive about his intelligence.
Probably because he was being compared to his brother.
Mm-hmm. The coach, Eakes, said that he was obviously so limited intellectually that the one time he genuinely cried was when he talked about how afraid he was of being put on the short bus, a vehicle specifically assigned to transporting the mentally and physically disabled students to school. His coach also said that he suspected that having a brilliant brother was a big thing that shaped him.
You know, that brings. I mean, I know this is off topic, but yeah, does nobody else find that odd that these kids that are special or, you know what I'm saying, mentally challenged, that have lower IQs than others, let's say, so they get deemed as stupid, or retarded, and but you're told, right? You don't treat them any differently.
But yet they do.
Right? You don't look down upon them.
But yet they do. But yet they put them on a short bus.
They put them on a fucking short bus, dude.
Yeah.
They put them on a fucking bus different than all the other kids, and then tell all the other kids not to fucking make fun of them.
Right. Not only
that's a goddamn joke.
Not only do they put them on a different bus, but they make the bus shorter.
Right.
So it stands out from all the other buses.
It's a fucking symbol.
Yeah. You're telling everybody, look at the mentally handicapped children.
They don't deserve to ride in the same full-length bus as you.
No.
But don't make fun of them.
That's right.
Don't look down upon them.
Now, I'm sure that only has to do with the fact that there's less of them. See, originally,
I don't give a fuck what it has to do with. I don't fucking care. If anything, they should have a longer bus. I can't believe that people are, and it's not that they're blind to the symbology of this shit, it's that they don't fucking care.
Look, first of all, we've got to keep certain people separated.
Yeah, I know.
All right?
I know, at least they can drink from the same fucking water fountain, I guess.
Holy Lord.
That's magic.
Ladies and gentlemen, magic. I just got power.
We got power back. Folks.
We have power, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
I got
manifested electricity.
You're dang right.
God's listening. And he's not happy about the fucking short bus thing either.
No.
And we need to
The candles just went out.
Bullshit.
The candles just went out, and ladies and gentlemen, at 5:45, like 20 hours from when it went out, I got power.
But at the same time, I will say that the special kids I remember when I was in school, they did get to do some cool shit, man. These motherfuckers would be going bowling and shit.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So that was like another thing. Like, well, that's horse shit. Just
now.
But yeah, I mean, I lost my train of thought, but...
Yes, I had to go and plug my generator, so we had to pause for a moment, ladies and gentlemen.
But see, that's just one of the fascinating things to me, man. Oh, no, what I was saying was these motherfuckers I hated school.
Why? Were you on the short bus?
No, I wasn't, no. But that's probably why.
I assume.
Because they got to fucking go to bowling and go to the park and go to the movies and do all this cool shit while I had fucking sit in class, bored as fuck.
Well, they also...
I just don't like the symbology of it. That just cracks me up.
Well, for a long time, they would give them separate lunch times, too. Not only did they give them a short bus, they would give them, different lunches.
100%.
Give them different things, and then they put them in a special classroom.
Yep.
All by themselves. And see, this is the thing I've always said about that. Okay, if you're physically disabled, or you're severely mentally handicapped, okay, and you got to go in a special class because, you can't be with other people because you're disruptive. That's one thing, but you're not helping when you also put people that aren't severely mentally handicapped in that class. Okay, so now you've got severely mentally handicapped people and people like Ridgeway who just had a low IQ, but they're in the same class, so now you got one person screaming his head off.
Yeah.
And Ridgeway's not going to learn nothing. Because Ridgeway wasn't severely mentally handicapped, but you're going to put him in the same class as somebody severely mentally handicapped.
Right. Well, yeah, I agree with what you're saying, because in most cases, what we're talking about is like everybody is individually got their own. I don't like to call it problem. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But their own challenge.
Well, what if you're physically disabled?
It's like if I have 10 or 12 mentally challenged kids that I have to teach and care for and take care of during the day, I'm not going to be able to give each individual the specialized attention that they need, right? Because what you're saying, because they're all different.
Right.
Just the same way that every kid in every class is different. Because the other thing about, like, what you're saying is a good point, is they fucking put them off and isolate them together in one room. But shouldn't the goal be to try to integrate them in to what is deemed normal?
Well, this is my other point with that. If you're physically disabled and not mentally disabled, why should you be in a class with mentally disabled people? Because your brain works just fine.
Right.
If you're in a wheelchair, what does that have to do with how well you learn?
Exactly.
It doesn't at all.
No, it doesn't.
You can be highly intelligent.
I mean, one
but
of
mentally
the smartest
or physically
motherfuckers that
disabled
was ever on the planet?
Yeah, Stephen Hawking. Right. And if he had been in school and had that, they would have put him in a special class.
Correct.
And that's insane, because if you're not mentally disabled, you're just physically.
You're right.
Then you should be in classes with everyone else.
You're right. And I think that a lot of people do. They look at a physical ailment and immediately think mental.
Mm-hmm. Because a person with cerebral palsy, their brain might be fine. They might be more intelligent than you. So why should they be in a class where people have learning disabilities?
Right.
They shouldn't. That's just insane.
It's the label, man. It's the label that people put on. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever fucking have you ever heard of Les Brown? He's a motivational speaker.
Yes, I have.
One of the top motivational speakers in all of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, check him out on YouTube. His name's Les Brown, but he's got a similar story, because when he was young, he was labeled as he didn't call it retarded, but you know, as a dumb kid, basically, as a dumb kid in dumb classes. And he talks about how there was one certain teacher who told him to write something on the chalkboard, and he said I can't do that. And he said, well, why can't you do that? And he said, one of the kids said, that's Leslie, he's the dumb twin. And he said that teacher got up from behind the desk, walked up to him and said, don't you ever let anybody tell you that you're stupid. He goes, what people's opinion of you are is not who you have to be.
Well, see,
he's like, you get up there and you write this on the chalkboard.
And it used to be crazy. Worse than that, because my father was dyslexic. And in the 50s, he was put in a special class because he couldn't read, because he was dyslexic. So my father was labeled mentally retarded his whole life when all he had was dyslexia.
Right.
There was no problem with his learning ability at all, but they labeled him special and put him in lower education and mentally handicapped classes because of his dyslexia, because in the 50s, they just didn't know what dyslexia was.
Right.
See, and it's things like that that really cause a lot of problems with people. And Ridgeway being born, well, Ridgeway being born in 49, he would have been definitely in 100%. That same group.
100%. But the same thing still goes on today.
But
now it's more under the guise of mental disorder and mental, disease. People have fucking trauma. People have rough life, tough experiences, bad memories. People deal with a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression. All people.
Mm-hmm.
All people. And so if you walk, and when you walk into a doctor, they're going to tell you that you have some kind of fucking disease or some kind of disorder. And if you listen to that bullshit, then you're fucked. Because now you're walking around thinking that there's fucking something wrong with you. You're playing the victim and using it as an excuse to not be a better person.
Correct. Well, speaking of trauma, let's get back to Mr. Ridgeway in his early life. Now, as I said, Ridgeway wet the bed until he was 13 years old. And some say he was even older than that, but he admitted to 13. Now, after all of these sessions of him wetting the bed, his mother would take him, put him in the bathtub, and wash his genitals thoroughly at age 13.
Oh, wow.
Right. Now, Ridgeway said that he didn't believe that was molestation. I, on the other hand, do. Because when you are sexually arousing, and Ridgeway even admitted that while she was washing his genitals, he would get aroused. Like he would get hard. So when you're doing that to a 13-year-old boy stroking his cock, that's molestation. I mean, I don't know how you call it anything else.
Yes, that's exactly what molestation is.
Right, that's exactly what molestation is.
Yeah, because there would come a certain age. Like, I guess everybody would be up to their own discretion, but, like, I mean, at 5 fucking 6 years old, right? There's fucking second graders that talk about sex.
Right.
So yeah, I can understand if your 2-3-year-old fucking kid pisses the bed and you put him in the bathtub and wash him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But you're fucking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old. Yeah, now we're getting into molestation. And we're getting into what is going to absolutely be a traumatizing experience for this young boy.
Correct. And Ridgeway even admitted later on in life that he was extremely sexually attracted to his mother. And he said he used
stroking his cock?
Yeah, he said he used to masturbate thinking about his mother well into his late teens. But that his sexual arousal for her made him feel dirty and also made him hate her extremely. So he would hate himself and hate his mother because he was sexually aroused by her.
Yeah, but that's your inner being playing. I mean, that's your, right? Your physical conscious being at the time is being aroused by your mother, while inside you know good and goddamn well this ain't right.
At the same time, Ridgeway faced extreme corporal punishment from both parents his whole entire life.
Meaning physical abuse.
Yes. His dad and his mother would both beat him with belts, sticks, and anything they had in their hand for any minor offense. If he talked out of place, talked while adults were there, his mother would beat him with a belt. So any minor offense, he would get beaten with either a belt or a stick from young childhood all the way up. Also, his mother was very domineering to his father. She would continually yell at his father, call his father names. His mother was a very, well, let's just put it clearly, a bitch. Yeah, to his father, and made him feel like less of a man. That's why they were only married, for a while. Ridgeway admits that he had fantasies about killing his mother. But he said that he didn't think what she did to him was sexual molestation, and that he didn't see any connection between his fantasies and his later behavior. But of course, with an IQ of 80, you wouldn't see any connection. I mean, you kind of got to realize this guy is not the brightest bulb in the whole thing, So of course there's a connection. Look.
Yeah.
Your mother molested you, clearly. Then she beat you with a belt. She treated your father like complete shit and made him feel like he wasn't a man.
Right.
And then later on, you're choking young girls and prostitutes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just,
I guess I could see where maybe in his mind there isn't a connection, right? Like, he just has this thirst for killing people, not necessarily brought on by the trauma of my childhood, but I'm like you. Whether he thinks it or not, like it's connected and fired and wired certain connections in his brain that has caused him to have no fucking remorse or empathy or sympathy. You know what I'm saying? I think it definitely has to play a factor.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ridgeway was also dyslexic. And this is the reason he was held back in high school.
So what is dyslexia?
Dyslexia is where, when you look at a word, like if I see a word, like say the cigarette pack, it says Lucky Strike, Lucky, and strike. So if I'm looking at Lucky, a person who's dyslexic sees it as YKCUL.
Oh, they're reading the other way.
They read it backwards. And sometimes it's even numbers they do that with. The numbers will reverse themselves. But yeah, normal...
So they're just seeing things different.
Yeah, they see the word or the letters backwards. So it'd be like trying to read a word backwards. So it would be really hard if you're taught... That's why...
But that doesn't make you dumb.
No. It's actually a mental handicap, but it doesn't make you dumb.
Right.
No. Back then, in the 50s and 60s, all the way up until recently, they were teaching kids, and this is the way I was taught too, when you see a word, if you want to know how to say it or what the word is, you sound it out phonetically. Mm-hmm. Like L is L, lucky, right? So, but if you read the word backwards and you see it backwards, then you would, if you tried to sound it out phonetically, the word would come out YKCUL. Yickly, Euclid.
Yeah.
Right, so you'd be seeing Euclid, so how would you be able to sound that word out phonetically?
Couldn't.
Right, that's why they teach kids now to spell and read words by sight. Like, they just teach them the word. Like, this is the word lucky. This is, the word, and that's what...
Teach them to sound it out.
They don't teach them to sound it out anymore because of that.
I wonder what causes that, though. I wonder what causes somebody to see it the other way.
I don't know. It's something in their brain that causes their eyes to see it differently than we do.
Almost like they're trying to read, like we read from left to right, like they're trying to read from right to left.
Yeah, it's when they read the word, their brain turns it around. So whatever they see, letter-wise, it turns it around.
That would be tough, man. That would be hard.
Yeah.
So, like your dad though, did he ever come out of it? Was there ever like
my dad
a remedy or?
No, not really. You're like that your whole life. My dad, he could read later on in life, but he was a very, very slow reader.
Well, yeah, he has to turn every word around.
Yeah, he had to learn every word over again. But yeah, he learned how to read later on.
Huh.
But it was years and years. I mean, he was like 14, 15 years old before he even learned how to read and write and stuff like that.
Plus, like you said, that was, they probably do have some techniques now that they didn't then, I would assume.
Yeah, they have different techniques to help people with dyslexia. Like my son, because it skips generations too, it's genetic. So my father had it. Me and my sister do not, but my second son, not my oldest son, but my second son, he has it. He's dyslexic. And but he can, he still has trouble reading, but he's, proficient in it. He can read and, write, pretty good, because they realized early on he was dyslexic, and there's special classes they gave him just for dyslexic people to teach him how to read and write with dyslexia. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's just something that he has to deal with. But he does just fine reading and writing now. But, yeah, he was a little, he wasn't the top person reading and writing in his school, Mm-hmm. So, Ridgeway graduated from Ty High School in 1969. I almost said Tyree. I came very close to saying the word Tyree because I looked down. I might be a little dyslexic. I swear to God, I was adding an R to that word. It's Ty, Tyee. And for some reason, I thought it was Tyree. Somehow I got an R in there. And I came close to saying it, and then I saw it, and I was like, no, not Tyree. It's not Tyree High School. We're not talking about an actor here. No. But in 1969... he married his 19-year-old high school girlfriend, Claudia Craig, as soon as he graduated from high school. and he joined the United States Navy and was immediately sent to Vietnam. So we have a guy at 16, and it's interesting because at 16 he basically got off on killing that kid, stabbing him through the liver and shit. Because he was underage and shit, he didn't really do any time for it or anything. They sent him to like a counselor, and the counselor talked to him for a little while, and then it kind of was just glazed over. And also because he was underage, his records were sealed. So later on, when these killings were going on, nobody could even look up his juvenile record.
Wow.
Right. So he goes to the Navy when he's 19, he'd been 69, so he'd been 20, right? Yeah, 49, 59, 69, 20.
Mm-hmm.
So he was 20, he joined the Navy, and they sent him to Vietnam, which is the perfect place to send someone who's a sociopath. I mean,
absolutely.
If he wasn't fucked up already
right.
by his molesting, domineering mother who beat him continually, sending him to Vietnam is the perfect place to
really want to cement it in. You know what I'm saying?
That's the perfect way to shape a young mind as Ridgeway's.
If you're trying to fucking build a killer.
Yeah, you couldn't build a perfect. You couldn't build it more perfect. You got a child with low IQ.
We got the place for you.
Right. You got a child with a low IQ.
Suit up, buddy.
Who's a bedwetter. Who was molested and beaten basically his whole life. Saw all women as hateful bitches. Saw all men as weak, low life nothing. Was treated like shit by his parents because his older brother was better than him. And was told he was stupid and dumb his whole entire life. So the best place to send a person like that is to Vietnam, where he can be shaped into a pure killer.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's not, in fact, why don't you give him some Agent Orange to sniff on the way over?
Yeah, I mean...
And we'll just really fuck up his head completely.
I mean, if he survives it all over there, you know what I mean? He deserves to come back a fucking Hall of Fame type killer.
Well, he served his time on board a supply ship and saw a lot of combat. During his time in the military, Ridgeway had frequent sexual intercourse with sex workers and contracted gonorrhea, which angered him, he said, a lot. Which, I imagine getting gonorrhea would probably anger about anybody.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, again, if he didn't hate women already, his frequent sex worker thing and getting gonorrhea really just put it in there. Oh, really gave it to him.
I'm saying, absolutely.
Yeah. But anyways, even though he caught gonorrhea, and even though he said he was very angry that he caught gonorrhea, that didn't deter him at all. Because again, not the brightest bulb in the whole bunch there. So you would think you're doing all these sex workers, you're fucking all these sex workers over here in Vietnam, you're just fucking all these Vietnamese bitches, sucky,
Yeah, for sucky, $5.
Yeah, what's that song? Oh, me so horny.
Yeah.
Oh, me so horny.
Funny, yeah.
That was Ridgeway, boy. He was like, suck it long time, baby. Suck it long time all night, baby. Come on. Make it bleed. So he gets gonorrhea, but that didn't stop him. No. He just kept on fucking sex workers without protection.
The guy's persistent.
So, because of all of this, his marriage ended within a year.
I mean, your spouse usually does frown upon, the gift that keeps on giving. Jesus.
You constantly fucking sex workers. The other thing that's interesting is...
You're waiting for your fucking military husband to come home, you know what I mean? Just been serving the country, just fucking dripping wet with all this masculinity. You can't wait for him to get home and you find out he's dripping wet with something else. You know what I'm saying? That would be such a slap to the face.
Well, not only that, but interestingly, both of his marriages ended because of infidelity on both sides. So Ridgeway was fucking sex workers over in Vietnam. He found out while he was over in Vietnam that his wife had taken up with another guy and didn't want to be married to him anymore. So she's fucking some guy here in the States while he's off to war and getting gonorrhea from sex workers. So he admitted to her that he was fucking sex workers too.
Right.
So he didn't lie about it. He was very clear about, I'm over here getting some Vietnam pussy, baby. I'm getting some of that Asian strange.
You know it ain't as clean as the normal.
So it's okay that you're over there getting your pussy dildoed by some other guy.
Right.
Because I'm over here getting some Asian strange.
Shit's a different color over here, you know what I'm saying?
Sideways. That's what I've heard.
Ooh. That'd be interesting.
That's racist as hell. I apologize to all our Asian listeners immediately. That was wrong of me to even say, I'm on a roll today, Jason.
Fuck it.
I can't even publish this episode. I can't. I've done said retarded, which is politically incorrect. Then I just said Asian strange is sideways. Oh, God.
Well, we're new to this whole podcast game, right? I mean, we're not going to know the rules until we break something.
I'm losing listeners as we speak. Okay. If I offended any of our Asian listeners, I apologize.
I don't think politically correct people would stick around and listen to us very long anyway.
Not after the Arrow interview, no.
No.
Anyways, after Ridgeway was arrested, they questioned his family and friends, and they described him as friendly, very sociable, but kind of strange. And as we said, his first two marriages resulted in divorce because infidelities by both partners. So his second wife was named Marcia. I'm sorry, Marcia. No, Marcia. M-A-R-C-I-A, Marcia.
Marcia.
Is that Marcia? You sure?
M-A-R-C-I-A.
That's Marcia?
Marcia.
Okay, we'll go with Marcia then. I'm trying to make her sound Spanish. Marcia Winslow.
That she very well could be.
No, okay, we'll go with Marcia.
He likes that exotic.
I guess. He likes, obviously, sex workers with gonorrhea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who don't?
Yeah, really. There's nothing wrong with a little sex worker with gonorrhea.
I prefer my sex workers a little spiced up. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, look, if you're getting fucked by half of the Navy in Vietnam and Army and Marines, you're going to catch some eventually. I mean,
dude.
I'm sure Ridgeway was like her 20th that day.
Right.
Yeah, it was a free-for-all over there.
Yeah.
I mean, my uncle went to Vietnam and came back with a Vietnamese wife. I mean...
Right, they're not...
Yeah.
They don't half-ass shit over there.
No, they don't...
They're fucking hard-working.
Yeah, they're hard-working girls.
You know what I'm saying? When they put their minds up to something, they also put their mouth to it.
Yeah. I've seen some videos where there was guys standing in line from the military just to get into the prostitute's house.
Right.
So it's one...
and I wasn't even in the military.
But I'm just saying, it was one after another. It was like one's going out the back door and the other's coming in the front, bud. Yeah. Nut and get out. If
I was a woman, I would sell myself for sex. As a matter of fact, I'm a man, and if there's any women listening that need services, let's talk prices.
Jason said...
Let's talk prices.
He said for free at this point. You don't have to have sex as a woman anymore. They have websites where you just dildo yourself on camera and guys pay tons of money for it. You're right. So you don't have to be a sex worker and actually have sex with men anymore. Okay, you just make a nice porno, men will pay for it because men are stupid.
Right.
Porn's for free. Porn's for free. Well, and most of them aren't even in America. Most of these women that are on cameras and stuff are from other countries. So, most of them aren't in America. That's why they don't charge you very much per minute, because it's a lot of money if you're in the Ukraine or some shit.
Right.
Yeah, a couple dollars is a lot of fucking change.
Yeah,
if you're in Western Europe.
Fucking bombs dropping on every corner.
Right. So, they don't have to charge a lot of money. So the thing is, they don't have to have sex with the guy. They just have to play it themselves.
Right.
Hell, and I don't. You know what? I am 100% on board with that, because I'll tell you what. Any woman that would pay me to jerk off on the internet and watch me stroke my cock, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
You're damn right. Right now, anytime, I don't care. Not even a question. I'll jerk off so you can watch while you pay me per minute. It's fine with me.
Send Brian a message on the Perfectly Screwed Facebook page and we'll fucking work something out. Yeah.
You're damn right.
I'm cheap.
Okay.
And I told you I have plenty of practice. Like I can fucking stroke it.
His second wife, Marcia Winslow, claimed that he placed her in a chokehold. But he became very religious, interestingly enough, during his second marriage. He would go door to door, reading the Bible aloud at work and go door to door talking to people about the Bible. He was like one of these Latter-day Saints guys.
Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, Jehovah's Witness. He was that guy. Yeah, he would go, well, I don't know if he rode a bike, but he would go door to door and do this. He also would read the Bible aloud at work and at home. His second wife said that he would read the Bible to her, preach to her continually, and insisted that his wife follow strict teachings that were laid down by the Bible and his pastor. He would also frequently start crying in the middle of his sermons or after reading the Bible. But despite, and the funny part about this is, this is the humorous shit. He's at home preaching that she wears long skirts. She cannot wear pants. That's what he said to her. She had to wear skirts, really tight blouses, have her hair put up, no makeup. She had to be a pristine woman. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And despite all of this, Ridgeway was still paying for sex from prostitutes.
Nice.
Yeah. So he's at home preaching how she better not be a slut. And then he would leave and go pick up a hooker on the corner.
Wow.
Yeah. So he could have a dirty slut in his life.
Wow. Nice.
Then he said that he asked his wife to participate in sex in public and other inappropriate places also during this time. Demanded it of her. Said that a woman is supposed to please her husband and that he demands that she has sex in public and other inappropriate places like middle of restaurants and shit like that.
Damn.
Yeah, so she wasn't comfortable with this. Listen to this crazy shit. He even took her to places where his victims were later discovered to have sex with his wife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so his victims were just a few feet away where he had dumped them, the bodies, and he bent his wife over in this public park or whatever and was fucking her from behind.
Oh, shit.
While his victim's rotting in the bushes a few feet away from him.
Oh, my God. That's like, was it Kemper that kept going, that would go back?
No, Kemper was the one that cut their heads off and made him give them head while
but there was...
Yeah. Bundy used to go back and fuck them after they were dead.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so did Ridgeway.
Oh, so he...
Oh, yeah, he's a necro, too. Yeah,
really?
He would go back and, bang him a few times before, yeah.
And see, dude, again, man, I feel like you said earlier, that has to stem somewhat from the washing of the genitals until you're 13 by your mother. I mean, he can fucking act like that's not what's going on, but dude, what else is gonna? Yeah, it's just a weird fantasy.
I mean, that had to contribute to it, but there has to be some underlying mental condition to start out with. I mean, how crazy do you have to be preaching the Bible, demanding your wife be this pristine woman?
Not just preaching the Bible, like getting in tears.
Yeah.
Emotional.
Yeah. Going door to door preaching the Bible.
Right.
And then strangling sex workers in your spare time, dumping their bodies, and then so fucked up mentally that you are taking your wife to the spots where you just dumped a body to fuck her again because it turned you on.
Yeah. And she's willing to do it there because it's not like totally public like a fucking restaurant.
Right. And she doesn't know that you're strangling and dumping bodies at the spot. Right.
Man. Wow. Gary. My gosh.
Okay, so according to the women in his life, Ridgeway had an insatiable sexual appetite. He had 3 ex-wives total and several ex-girlfriends that reported that he demanded sex from them several times a day. He would often want to have sex in public areas or in the woods. Ridgeway later admitted himself to having a fixation on sex workers. He said he had a love-hate relationship with them. He loved to have sex with them, but the moment he was done, he would feel horrible about himself, think he was committing a sin, and then want to kill them as punishment for what he was doing. the funny part is, he did this, frequented sex workers, all of this, but he would complain to everyone that knew him about the presence of sex workers anywhere near his neighborhood.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's playing a part, playing the role, playing a front. You know what I'm saying? Nobody would ever suspect me of killing these people. You know what I mean? I gotta act like I fucking...
Well, see...
Get these pieces of shit out of here.
Psychiatrists believe that he had a very dual kind of personality thing going in his head, where he wanted to have all this wild, crazy sex that his mother basically instilled in him because he was molested. And then, because of his weird religious beliefs, and that he was so, trying to be religious, that he hated what he was really doing.
Yeah.
So he wanted to do this, but then at the same time, as soon as he was done with it, as soon as he got off, he was ready to kill this bitch because he just couldn't handle what he'd done. He hated himself for it.
Yeah, it's wild.
So his second wife, Marsha, we called him Marsha, sorry, had a son by Ridgeway named Matthew that was born in 1975. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Ridgeway is believed to have murdered at least 71 teenage girls and women near Seattle and Tacoma, Washington. Now, these are the ones they kind of know about from 80s to the 90s. But, like I said, there is many believed to have been murdered way before that, during his first and second marriages. Some even believe that he was murdering women all the way in Vietnam, because there was sex workers coming up in Vietnam murdered. But the thing is, it's Vietnam. That happened so frequently at the time during war that, nothing was ever prosecuted. Yeah. And the ones before the 80s, they couldn't pin on him. Right. And he's not going to say, well, hey, yeah, by the way, I murdered another 150 that you guys don't know about, guy.
Did they give him the nickname Green River Killer just because of where he's from, or was it because he put a lot of victims in?
No, that's where they found most of the bodies.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a minute. But in a court statement, Ridgeway later reported, and I've already said this, that he has killed so many women that he lost count. He said it's way more than the ones you know about, way more than the ones you'll ever find. He said, I have killed so many, and this is a quote from Ridgeway. He said, I've killed so many women in my life that I don't even know how many it is. And like I said, they said that he has now said it could be upwards of over 200. He said that's how many women it is. It's so many that he can't even count them. And me, myself, look, if it's only 71 or 80, you can count that high.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Once you hit the 100 mark.
Yeah, once you get in the hundreds, then it starts to blur.
Right,
yeah,
that's whatever.
Yeah,
it's getting boring.
The majority of the murders that they know of. Now I say know of because again, he said that he killed so many that they'll never be able to know, and he doesn't know. But the ones they know of were from 82 to 84, most of them. And most of them were either sex workers or runaways who he picked up along the Pacific Highway.
So wait a minute.
South.
So from 82 to 84, he killed 49 people.
Yeah. Well, no, 88, around 1980s to the 90s, he killed at least 49 they convicted him of. 71 that they know about. And 89 that they think they can attribute to him. So 89 that they can 100% say, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so in a 10-year period, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he picked them up along the Pacific Highway South, and he would show them pictures of his son to trick him into trusting them, to get in the car.
Wow.
They would engage in sexual activity, and after a few minutes of intercourse from behind, he always had sex with them from behind because he did not want to look at them while he had sex with them.
Makes sense.
He would wrap his forearms 4. Oh,
Hey!
there we go.
You're getting a little bored. You take a shot now.
Yeah, you can take a shot now because I just fucked up again. Because he did not wrap his forward around their throats. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize, but
so this motherfucker was putting legit chokehold on him.
Yeah,
like sleeper holds.
Yeah,
like a WWE fucking E-match.
Yeah, he would, while he is fucking him, he would wrap his forearm, not his forward. I don't even know how that would make sense. No. A forward's like the beginning of a book. It's like, I'm going to wrap my forward around you.
You can wrap that around their neck. I don't think it's going to do much damage.
So, yeah, he would wrap his forearm around their neck from the front, and then he would pull back as tightly as he could with his other arm, like you said, in a chokehold, cutting off the air supply to their trachea until he was strangling them and he killed them. Mm. And first of all, let me explain. That is one of the worst ways you could possibly die because you're alive for a very long time.
Yeah.
Because you're cutting off the air supply to their brain, but you're doing it in such a way that you're basically crushing their trachea.
Yeah.
You're crushing it from the front. And there is muscles there. There is bones there in the front of your throat. So to crush a trachea from the front, you got to use a lot of force. Be really pissed. And you got to do it for more than just a minute or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because you're still strangling them at that point, even after they pass out. Mm-hmm. Because once they pass out, they're still alive.
Oh, yeah.
So to kill them that way, you're still, I mean, they're limp, completely dead. He's still going. And he's still inside of them.
Yeah.
So he's thrusting away while he chokes the shit out of their asses. He killed most of his victims in his home, actually, which is odd. But he would take them to his house and, start fucking them, doggy style. Then he'd stick his arm around them, start choking the shit out of them. And I guess about the time he got off is when he would stop choking. So he would take them to his home, in his truck, or to a secluded area. Most of their bodies were dumped in the wooded areas around the Green River, near Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, and other dump sites along the Green River within South King County. So he dumped all of them, like we said, in these parks, these woods.
Right.
There was so much woods and stuff out in King County that he just dumps them in the river.
And that would be why, it would be damn near impossible to find all of them unless he fucking told you where they were exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, we're talking about dense, thick forests and really nothing else. Mm-hmm. You can imagine walking around in just a forest around here trying to find fucking something would be, a needle in a haystack, but fucking there it's even more grand.
Mm-hmm. So, there was also 2 suspected victims. Most of them were from around Seattle-Tacoma, but some of them were even from Portland, Oregon area. So he did branch out. So they suspect a couple of them from Portland, and they think that some of these victims were even farther south in Oregon and Washington, maybe even in Canada, and surrounding areas.
Yeah, it's hard telling how fucking far he went.
But I'll tell you what, we are going to end it right now. This is part 1. And if you like this part, we're going to get into a lot more of the murders and who he killed and his conviction in part 2. And we'll probably I think we can do this in 2 parts. I think we can. I think we can wrap it up in part 2. But this is part 1, and if you liked it, like I said, next week you guys will get part 2 of Mr. Ridgeway and his crazy ass killings. But I hope you like this one, and we'll see you next time.